So, hello everyone. This is the third session of the Charming Talks. Today we are hosting Tanya Tissou from TU Delft and Anne Goys from Kamp C. Before getting started, maybe Peter wants to tell a few words about Charm Project.
Yes, thank you, Sultan. Hello, everybody. My name is Peter Hoofweg, and I'm co-host of Charming Talks. This is being done for Project Charm, and Charm is an Interreg NWE project. And the project is about optimizing the use and reuse of material and natural resources. In total, 4 social housing organizations and several other organizations are involved in Charm. Together, we are working on innovative circular approaches and building strategies in the social housing industry. And this is being done in the following countries: Belgium, the Netherlands, France, and the UK. So, as Sultan already told, this session is being recorded and we're going to put it on YouTube. We have our own channel, so you can look it back every time you want. And today we're going to talk about circularity because it's a hot item and many of our partners and associates are working on this in various ways. Today we have 2 speakers who are going to talk about circular maker, city, and circular procurement.
Yeah.
Sultan, back to you.
We will start with Tanya. She's a doctoral researcher at TU Delft, and she has a really cool topic, circular maker city. So it's a combination of, as I understand, 2 topics: maker movement and urban manufacturing. So we are really curious how you combine these concepts together. First of all, what is the maker movement and urban manufacturing, and how you combine these 2? We would be so happy to hear the answers from you.
Yeah, shall I present now or should I answer the question?
Yeah, just however you wish. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can present now. I've prepared something.
Yeah, cool.
So present now. Yeah, so this presentation will answer the questions that Sultan asked me before. Hi everyone, my name is Tanya. I'm a 2nd year PhD at TU Delft, and my topic is circular maker city. And this research started from responding to an interest in applying circular economy at the city level. And one strategy for applying circular economy at the city level is to reintroduce industrial activities into the city, either in the form of local production or some kind of circular activity like recycling, remanufacturing, etc. And even though there is some interest in this topic, there isn't a lot of understanding on the drivers, barriers, and the consequences of reintroducing industrial activities into urban areas. So that's kind of what my research is about. And on the other hand, there's another community of researchers who are looking into making and manufacturing in cities. They fall under a lot of different names like maker movement, urban manufacturing, distributed manufacturing, industrial urbanism. And all of these people are looking at this same broad topic, which is reintroducing manufacturing back into cities. And the reason why there is so much interest in that is because urban manufacturing has the potential to foster local economic development by providing well-paying blue-collar jobs locally. It's also, manufacturing nowadays is also cleaner, cheaper, quieter, smaller. And so you can justify the presence of manufacturing in cities. Manufacturers themselves also want to be close to customers and skilled workers. And so they want to be in the city as well. But interestingly, there's not a lot of interest amongst this community in sustainability and how urban manufacturing might contribute to sustainability at the city level. And finally, some of these urban manufacturers came out of the maker movement. So people who are hobbyists and making things by themselves at home, and then they decided to make a business out of it, and then it grows and they become a manufacturer in the city. And I suppose this gives quite a good overview of different types of manufacturing in the city. So on the smaller scale, on the left, you can see domestic production, which is like someone who has a 3D printer in their bedroom and they're just making small things, to the next level where it's a fab lab or a maker space. So it's an open workshop where people share machinery and they produce small batches of things. And then on the next level is like small factories and larger factories. And so my research focuses on the left, where things are smaller scale and are locally produced. And so when I say urban manufacturing, there are different kind of types of organizations I'm looking at. There's citizen organizations that make things, so like maker spaces, fab labs, repair cafes. And then there are SMEs, small medium enterprises, that are manufacturing products in cities. And there are also lots of, with the connection to the circular economy, there are also lots of local waste resource manufacturers where they turn a local waste stream into a new product. So for example, people are taking old bread from nearby bakeries to turn it into beer, and people are taking waste electronics, taking them apart, and then selling these components to new manufacturers. So this is the connection with the circular economy, and that's what I'm interested in for now. And so the research question for me is, for my research, is like, what is the role of urban manufacturing in circular economy in cities? And that's it. Thanks for listening. Oh, Sultan, you're muted.
Oh, thank you. I was just saying thank you for your presentation. Well, has anyone a question for Tanya? Otherwise, I'll. Okay, go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, Tanya, I'm curious because it's quite a new way of working. I think maybe for small people, for small companies, for individuals. How do they meet the needs of companies?
Sorry, I don't really understand the question.
Sorry, is there a platform or something to, for example, if there's someone with a 3D printer and they make something, and because they are individuals, do they already have connections with companies or something, or do they have new platforms or?
Yeah, I understand the question now. Yeah, that's a really good question. So I can think of two. So one is like maker spaces. So most maker spaces, if I say maker spaces, you're probably thinking of like a small room in a library with three 3D printers and laser cutters, and they're just, you know, for your son to go and print some fun little toy. But then there are other maker spaces that are working at a larger scale, and they can collaborate with larger manufacturers to produce batches of components or provide prototyping services for larger manufacturers. So that's one way that they're connected to the larger scales. And another way is there are these platforms that one is called 3D hubs, another is called Shapeways, and these platforms, they connect makers to product designers and engineers. So for example, I'm an engineer, I design a new product and I would like to see a prototype of it. I can go on Shapeways and then connect with makers that have a product, that have a machine that can make whatever I want. And also, Open Desk is another one.
Okay, so it's all online. I
heard about it, yeah, actually. I will go.
These are all online. So actually, even like, for example, I know people, if you want to make like a new lampshade, but you want to 3D print metal or something, and obviously it's hard to find a metal 3D printer, but then you can go on Shapeways and then they can give you a quote and then you can they can print it for you and send it to you. So stuff like that. So these platforms Those are the ones that I know of.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
I have two questions to you actually. For a circular city ecosystem, by incorporating urban manufacturing, who is the key actor there?
I think one of the big keys, at least from the, let's say, the built environment point of view, is the availability of industrial land. So a lot of times cities are competing, different programs are competing within the city. So there's like housing and commercial land and industrial land. And a lot of times industrial land is the least prioritized, obviously, because you have a housing crisis, and also municipalities sometimes need to make money from leasing land, and industrial land is just not as profitable. So one of the main issues is the municipality and how they deal with their land and how they give space to makers and manufacturers to stay in the city. Because it's a lot of times one of the biggest barrier is land price. Manufacturers can't survive in the city, and so they end up either doing very, very niche products, so high quality, niche, expensive products, so that they can stay in the city. Like an extreme example would be diamond cutting. So in New York, like the only manufacturers that survived was diamond cutters, because it's so expensive, you can survive there. But everything else, like textiles, wooden stuff, everything it's gone now, you know. So one of the biggest issues is land and land price and availability of space.
Okay. So you gave examples actually from when you talk about makers, you gave examples from basically industrial products, but we are talking about built environment, and I'm really curious if you have some examples for the building components or furniture, probably I can imagine to repair furniture, but I'm really curious if you know any examples from the buildings or building parts.
Yeah, well, there's all I know of is different companies around the world that reuse building components. So they like go to demolition sites, they take all of this materials, and then they store it somewhere, and then they resell. Maybe they clean it a bit and stuff, and then they
demolishers, demolition companies.
Yeah. But then, as in like building products, I don't know of that. But the
makers usually then don't touch buildings at all. They usually then produce products for industrial purposes.
Because I can imagine maybe building products have much higher specifications or something like that. But then the Pop Makina project that I'm working on, which is a Horizon project, one of the cities we're working with is Leuven, and they are building a new building material depot, and they're just turning building materials into products again. So like old wood and turn it into chopping boards or something. So it's like really, I think, to integrate it into the built environment, I think.
Yeah, it could be actually interesting if there are makers working on building components or something like that. I'll go check. I'm so curious. I'm sure that there is someone doing something about it.
Yeah, because I mean, I know that it makes sense because, for example, it wouldn't be like a big factory, but then you do need building component people, building product people near the city, because buildings are in cities, so it doesn't make sense to be so far away. So yeah, that's really interesting point.
Okay, any questions? Then maybe we can move on to the second speaker.
Yeah, let me introduce you to Anne Goits. Do I say that correctly, Anne? Your surname, more or less. She's a project manager at Kamp C, and Kamp C is a center for sustainability and innovation in Flanders, Belgium. They have been involved in the development of the circular headquarters of social housing organization Zonnige Kempen, which is also one of the partners of Charm. And recently, you've won, or Kamp C has won, a prestigious European award on circular procurement. Anna, the floor is yours.
Okay, I start with sharing my screen. Okay, can you see the presentation only? Okay, very good. Okay, so I have only 10 minutes and I will make sure that I use those 10 minutes very good. I would like to talk about a more specific component or of circular building and circular procurement that is a real challenge for governmental organizations. We are, as Peter already stated, we are Kamp C, Center of Innovation for Innovation and Sustainable Building in the province of Antwerp. And if you would, that's in Belgium. It's like in the center of Europe a little bit. Our mission is to accelerate the transition towards a sustainable society. And well, it's important to get to what we are doing. So we are vision driven, transition driven also. We have 4 target groups. That is in one way potential builders, renovators, local authorities, but also just the citizens. Local authorities, we support our local authorities as a part of the province. Schools, educational activities, we also support. And now we have the construction sector. We are really a network organization, so we try to bridge the academic world and the academic findings with what's happening in the construction sector. We have a lot of innovative projects. We are a little bit, no, we are really, we want to do things. And what's really interesting is that we have our site with a formal military camp. It's rather big, you could say, and we have a lot of space to really experiment and build things. So this is how it's now. We have a lot of little experiments on our site, and one of the things we would like to do, we decided to do, is to build a circular office building. And at this moment, we have already a design, and next year we want to start building it. And I want to explain you a little bit more. So we on the first floor, Kamp C will also have his own offices. And I would like to explain you why we think this is important and how we did this. Of course, in a nutshell, because we don't have time to go into detail. So for start, to do this, we started with circular procurement. We see this as one of the parts of a circular building. To go in short, as Kamp C, first we asked ourselves, what is circularity for us? What is circular building? Of course, for us, it's always about the building sector. And now we defined 5 pillars that are important. A lot of those were already mentioned by Tanya, and I'm going to talk about circular procurement and how we did this. For start, why do we do it? Because for us, I go to the mantra of Confucius: roads were made for journeys, not destinations. We think that the road is more important than the destination. The process is important, and that's why we do things and we try it out, we experiment. So also for this thing. And then the other thing is that in Europe, there is a lot of opportunity for circularity in the building sector. Half of the raw material extraction comes from the building sector, construction sector. Half of the waste comes from the building sector. 1/3 of all water consumption, 1/3 of all energy consumption. And on the other hand, the problem with the building sector, and especially if you go to governmental rules, the legislation, is that we have very complex specifications and we award only on price. because it's like that, because of course price is important, but we have a way of working, and the consequences are that there is no room for innovation. There is no thinking about long-term impacts. There are conflicts. Everything has to go by legal battles. It's, of course, it's not always that way, but it is in governmental organization. When you have to follow the rules for procurement, it's a very legal thing to do. It's not about working together easy. It's time consuming, and it's also for the contractors, for example. You try to squeeze the margins, and at the end there is no win for anyone anymore, because you have a product that is really cheap, but it's not always the best product or the most innovative product. I think we know this. And so that's why we think that we need systemic changes as well in design culture, like design for disassembling, making less waste, reusing things. There is also reusing buildings, reusing rooms, spaces. And a second one is change in value definition, that we don't only talk about actual cost, but about total cost of ownership, life cycle assessment, environmental impact, social impact. Also different business models, like as a service models are very interesting to see it on a long term. And then the other thing that should change is a change in collaboration, now creating a win-win for everyone, and making everyone who is in the process also involved from the beginning. And it's more about creating a relationship than really having a point as a procurement, and then you have a point where you decide, but really a relationship that's built on trust on the long term. That's a little bit where we want to go through. And for this, as we decided we will build a circular building, we had a process to go through, and it was I will go through the different steps very quickly, just to make you clear how we dealt with this. Of course, this is not the perfect way to do it, but it's just a way, and we learned a lot from it. And it's not that you really have to do all those steps, but it's interesting as inspiration if you also want to build more circular as a governmental organization. So one of the first things we did is state our ambitions. We want to be future-proof and sustainable, and we for that circularity was important, flexibility was important, and also health and well-being. And we also thought that the image created was really important. And at the end, we had a vision. We had a short page with a vision, and that vision is used throughout the process to check if it was really what we wanted, as a reference. Then, of course, we had we thought, okay, there is one problem: the circular construction is not really known in the building sector, so we need to engage them more, we need to inform them. So we organized master classes, and that was also very important. So because not only they could learn from it, but the building sector could also team up, because in the next phase we in the selection phase where we really asked for a design, build, maintain, energy model for a circular office building, and we wanted them to maintain it for 20 years. We wanted one building consortium. There we needed one consortium, so it was really important for them to get to know each other. And for this selection phase, we asked just 2,000 words, and it was especially, well, of course there were some other just administrative things, but it was especially about creative thinking, hand-on approach. It was on a holistic approach, so design, build, maintain, and energy. And it was also about teamwork, how they will cope with that. And we were very lucky to have 7 consortia that subscribes for this, and we selected 3 of them. And for those three, we went to a dialogue phase. So the model, the system we used for the procurement was the competitive dialogue. And that means that in a dialogue phase, we really talked with them. They could ask questions, and answers went to all of the participants, of course. And they could also make suggestions. So in this phase, we still adapted the prescriptions and what we asked. We still made some little changes following what they said. So this sketch is just to define that we think that the construction sector is the expert, and we were not going to say how they should do it, but we were just subscribing what we wanted to have. So at this moment, they also got a description of what we wanted as a result for this building. And then, of course, the award came. And at this moment, it was not all about the money, because we said very clearly, we have, this is, of course, this is something we decided to do. We said, this is our budget. This is for the building. This is for maintenance and energy. And we just not want to go over this budget, and just say what we can get for this budget. So the awarding was was about the sketch design, the integration in the Kamp C site, was about the circularity, and was about their action plan and process. We had an elaborated matrix to evaluate that. And at the end, we had one consortium known called Kamp Circulaire. You can see who's all involved, that won the selection. And at this moment, we are hoping to get the permission, the building permission, and we hope to start beginning next year with building this building. And of course, that's for another talk, but there will be a lot more on this. It's also about building a network, and it's not just about a building. We will do much more with this to make circular building known all over Europe. And then I just wanted to end with one picture. I think is really important when you talk about circular procurement for as a challenge. It's a little bit, I think it's a little bit like when you go in the mountains. It could be hard, but it's really, if you are on top of a mountain, the views is really rewarding. It's really interesting, but of course it's, and I have to admit that too, it's not like it's always going up. Sometimes you have to go a little bit down to go up again, but it's really rewarding, and it's really would be really good if a lot of people just take the challenge and try to do it in another way, because at the end, we will, yeah, maybe reach tops or see something else, but we will, of course, realize, yeah, our mission too, the mission of Kamp C and a lot of other people. That was it. 12 minutes, a little bit too long, maybe.
Thank you so much, Anne.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much, Anne. And it's also step by step. When you're climbing a mountain, you have to watch your step. It's also about circularity combined with efficiency, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one of, I don't know exactly what you mean, but if I think about that question, I think about it's innovation. And circularity is not only about sustainability, but it's also about innovation and making things more efficiently. Yeah, it's about like reusing things. Also means that you need a kind of like you need like fixed dimensions, or forgot the English word, but you need a structural dimensions to work on. That makes it easier to reuse materials. So that's also why for this building, for example, we work on 5 meters as the measurement to make our structure on. and we try to keep this also to make it easy to reuse the materials, and that's also about efficiency, because then you have all the same models to reuse and not a lot of. But maybe you meant something else, Peter?
No, because especially the last decades, the buildings industry was about cutting costs. So they had to do it more efficient. And in the beginning of the sustainability movement, let's say, those traditional parties said, yeah, but what it's going to cost. But I like the fact that you are combining circularity with efficiency in the building environment. So probably you will have a lot of people who are already engaged, because you are also pinpointing that fact of making it efficient as well. Yeah, interesting. Other questions?
I have a question. So Anna, you said that they would have to maintain the building for 20 years. So does that mean they have a contract that lasts 20 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
How do you deal with risk? I can imagine with such a long contract, there would be maybe more risks involved. Is that something that needs to be considered?
Yeah, of course, that's for them. That's why they subscribe for the risk. So the thing is that they are driven to make it as sustainable and as they are motivated to make sure that it doesn't use too much energy, of course, because then, and it's not, I don't think it's really a risk for them. It's rather a way to make sure that they can have more, they can get more of it. If they make the building very energy efficient, yeah, then they have a lot of money left, to say, a lot of margin. So it's for them, it's also, it's, I don't think it's really a risk. It's more a challenge to get more out of it. At this moment,
Tanya, did you mean like in 20 years, you never know if that maintenance company will survive? So
yeah, that's what I meant. Like you can't really so far, because usually the building contracts is you build the building and then ta-da, it's done, and then everyone leaves, and then it doesn't matter what happens.
No one takes the responsibility, but 20 years is really long. Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting idea. It's new to me, so that's why I asked.
Yeah, it's, of course, it's like I said, it's really an experiment. So maybe we do a little bit more than just a local government can do, but we just want to show what's possible, and also to experience what could be challenges and to find solutions to make what we really want to do is show to a local government, yeah, you can do this, try it, and you can use this and this, and we already encountered this, and we can help you. So that's why we go a little bit further. But I don't think there is really, I think they will change them to another company. I don't see this really as a problem or a challenge.
Okay.
You will make another charming talk, maybe 2000 or something, after 20 years, and see.
Yeah. Yeah,
you continued with one contractor.
It's not one contractor, it's a consortium, and you have an architect, a contractor.
Especially for the energy systems, maybe.
Yeah.
I have the last question, because I think we already 6 minutes late. You mentioned about the very important aspect of circularity, actually defining the values all over again in your presentation. So and you mentioned that you need to define social impact. You have to include social impact in the projects as well. And I wonder, for that specific project, how did you approach the circular impact of the circular economy? Did you use any kind of indicators, or?
Yeah, I must say that I missed a little bit of your question because I have an unstable connection, but the social impact, we made a list of things that we found really important, and then we asked them, how will you do this? That's the way we did it. And social impact is, yeah, it's not the first thing we involved in this.
Okay.
Some
It's
parts, so
usually
I,
neglected, yeah, in the discussions. When you talk about circular economy, you usually talk about the environmental and economic benefits, but the social part is kind of missing. And that's why I was curious if you included any kind of indicators in your project.
yeah, of course it's included because we want to work with companies that are socially involved, and but it's not like this is really the social project.
Okay, I see.
That's really, yeah, maybe
Yeah, maybe we should
important
think
to,
about it, like as the professionals in the building sector.
yeah, but still we want that the companies we work with are like environmentally friendly and have an interesting way of working, and a social, a good social way of working, but it's not like it's really stated in this project. It's not the first choice.
Thank you very much for your answers. I think we're done for today, and maybe the next time will be in the new year. I don't know yet. December seems to be a little bit busy for everyone. So see you next time. Have a nice weekend.
Nice weekend. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Thanks for attending. Bye.